Hey everybody, happy Monday. Today we're going to finish up our wreath that we started last Friday, and we wanted to have enough time to build all of the flowers for the wreath over the weekend. So we're going to finish that today and just get it assembled. And then we are also going to be making our bag holder out of a tin can. I'm actually using a plastic container today just because I don't drink coffee that comes in a can, and the whole point of this camp is to come up with upcycled items without having to go out and buy materials. So I'm going to be using just a plastic container, but you can use a tin can. I'll show you how to go through the process. It's pretty similar no matter what. So we're going to finish our wreath. So all you have to do is just make sure that you have your hot glue plugged in and ready to go. And you are going to arrange, see if we can get this on the camera as possible, arrange your flowers in a circle. And the way you're going to connect them is the indents of your flowers, another flower is going to connect within there. So you have to arrange it in a way that the indents are connected with the petal of a flower. So we have this all set up. I have it set up in a circle. And then to actually connect it, you are just going to take hot glue and put it there and connect them. That's it. You want to make sure that it's in a shape as much as possible of a circle. You might come out to be a little bit squarish, and that's okay. Ultimately, you just want to have all of the pieces connect so that it could be hung on the door. Okay, so you're just going to take that. I put hot glue in the indent itself and then connect it and just hold it until it has a chance to kind of dry. And do the same thing here. Just connect it up. Okay. Same thing here. I'm just putting the glue within the indent of the flower, and then I'm connecting it to one of the petals of another flower and arranging it in a way that it is circular. You just want to hold it there for a couple seconds until the glue has a chance to dry. Otherwise, it might not hold as nicely. Okay. So for mine, I used about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I used about 10 flowers, but my wreath is a little bit bigger. So if you want a bigger wreath, obviously you're going to use more flowers. If you want a smaller wreath, you're going to use less. My wreath's on the bigger side. This would be just enough to connect it up. Okay. So that's that. It's all connected. So the best way, I would say, to actually go through and hang this is to put like the push pin on the door and hang it from one of the petals, and whichever petal you're hanging from, I would connect that petal to another one just to kind of give it that extra hold. You can hang it physically on the petals. It's not too heavy, so it should stay, no problems. But I'll actually hang it up on this back wall so you can kind of see. Okay. So that's that wreath there. I'm going to physically hang it up on the wall here. Put one of these down. I'm going to hang it in one of the petals, but I actually glued the petal. Oh, you guys can't even see it. Okay. I actually glued these two petals together. Whoops, knocked it off the wall. So that in the push pin itself, it was hanging, but it gives it that extra hold so it doesn't just like collapse there. So that's that wreath. It's pretty simple to construct. It just takes a little bit of time. It's definitely time consuming to have to make all the flowers and go through the process of gluing it all together, but it comes out really nice. It looks nice. And again, if you don't want to make it into a wreath, if you make those they kind of are perfect to hang from the ceiling for like winter, looking like snowflakes if you spray paint them or paint them white. So that's another option. I have seen paper towel rolls that actually come in a white color. So you could always use this to make snowflakes and hang them from the ceiling, or hang them from like big front windows of the house. So that is some things you could do for that. But the wreath looks nice. You can also decorate the wreath up a little bit. So if you wanted to, add some fake flowers to it, if you wanted to add some greenery to it, you can just kind of hot glue those onto there. I will say though that will make it a little bit heavier, so I wouldn't like overload it with stuff. I wouldn't throw too much stuff on it because it will make it heavier and it will make it harder to stay up, and you might have to kind of put something on the back of it to kind of keep it together, especially if you do overload it with a lot of flowers. But one or two isn't bad, or you can add a ribbon to the top of it and kind of tie a ribbon onto it to give it a little bow. So, but I wouldn't overload it with any like extra decorations. You can also paint them. So if you have the flowers all ready and made, you can actually paint them different colors. So like a pink, a green, a blue, and put them all together that way, and then it'll be a really colorful one. So there's many different things you can do. It's kind of up to you and what you want to do. But that is the wreath that we started on Friday. All right. And then today we're going to make a bag holder. Like I said, I'm using a plastic dog treat container. The directions were for like a tin coffee can. The tin coffee can with the plastic lid is actually going to it's going to be a little bit easier to make this with because it's easier to cut the hole out of the top for the bags. Mine's going to be a little bit of a struggle. I might actually have to drill it open. So you guys will be able to kind of make yours at home without, needing to bring out the drill and stuff. So all you need is just the container. If you are using a plastic container, I will show you a way to kind of keep it so that the paint is on, we're going to do the paint on the inside just to kind of prevent from chipping. If you are using a tin can, you are going to paint on the outside of it. So if you're using a tin can, all you're going to do is you're going to take your acrylic paint, and just like we've been doing for a lot of other things, you're going to paint this. I'm going to paint it one solid color because I am going to put a tag on it of what is physically in the container itself. So I'm just going to paint it a solid color. You could do whatever you want. You could do stripes, like my little container here. You could do polka dots. You could do the chevron, which I did for the glass vase. So there's many different things that you guys could do design-wise. If you have like buttons or whatever, you can always decorate that up as well. If you're using a plastic container, you can actually do this process. It will take a little bit to dry, and you want to make sure that you're covering up the table to keep wherever your workspace is clean. So I'm actually just going to put a piece of scrapbook paper down to kind of protect my space here. All right, so if you're using a tin can, you're just going to use your brushes and your acrylic paint, and you're going to paint on the outside of whatever decoration you want to do. Chevron, polka dots, solid color. If you want to do the stripes, you can grab your washi tape, set out just like you would for the other projects we've done in the past, put those straight lines on there and paint that way. If you are going to do the chevron shape, you're going to take your washi tape and kind of put it on there in a zigzag pattern. I'm going to do the plastic container, and I'm going to show you a different method of how to do this, and it's kind of fun. So all you're going to do is you're going to take your paint, and you're just going to squirt it in the container. And you're going to kind of just move it around until it completely covers the inside of your container. If you have a paintbrush and you want to help it out that way, you can move it around. But you will need a decent amount of paint on there because this is to kind of keep you from having to do tons and tons of layers. So you're just going to take this, move the paint around a little bit. And this is to prevent chipping on the outside. So I'm just going to leave that in there. And once you have your paint moved around pretty well, you're actually going to turn it upside down, and you're going to let that drip and fall through overnight. It's best if you kind of move the paint towards the side so the paint's dripping down the side of the container and not just like straight off the middle. So don't leave the paint all piled up in the center there. You want to kind of move it to the sides so that when it does start to drip, it's going to drip down the sides and cover the sides rather than just fall in the middle of the table there. So you can kind of see that my paint's pretty moved around there. You might have to throw some more paint in there if you're noticing that you're running out, and that's okay. You just want to make sure that you have enough paint to go around the inside there. And this will prevent it from chipping on the outside, especially if you're going to go back and decorate it on the outside or write on it with your Sharpie marker. If you're like I'm going to do, I'm actually going to use my Sharpie to label what's inside with some pretty cursive. And I know that my paint won't come off if my paint's on the inside. So you're just going to move it around. And I might need a little bit more paint in there. Just going to move it to the edges there. This is kind of one of those projects, if you're painting from the inside, you are probably going to get paint on your hands. It does come off with soap and warm water. Just be careful of your clothes. And you don't want this like so drenched in paint that it never dries. But you want enough in there so that you don't have to like keep going and doing multiple layers. And once you feel like you have the paint kind of moved around, which you can kind of tell too if you hold it up to the light, if you see like pockets of space there, then you need to go back and like kind of move the paint around. Okay, once you have that all done there, and I have paint all over my hands, of course, you're just going to flip it upside down, and you're going to leave it like this. I would leave it like that for 24 hours. I'm just going to leave it like that and just give the chance for the paint to not only dry, but to also move down the container and cover up all the spots there. And if you kind of peer inside, you'll see where it's starting to drip down. And if you don't have enough paint in that spot, just move around. Or add more. But you don't want it to be like a full container of paint. You just want the paint that's in there to kind of nicely coat the inside and dry. But you don't want to use your whole thing of paint. Okay, you're just going to leave that there to dry for about 24 hours. Once it's dry, which we will come back to do tomorrow, we will go through and decorate it and do whatever we have to do. Once you have that done, you can actually paint the lid, which I'm going to do my lid in black, so it's like a black and white look here. So I'm just going to take some black paint, and I'm going to paint my lid. The lid is something that might need a couple coats, especially if the lid that you're working with has a dark color and you're using a light color. Right now I'm using a red and I'm painting it black, so I might only need one coat, but I think I'm going to add two just in case. Let me go on. And I'm just going to cover it up. You can paint the inside of the lid. It's not something that's going to be seen. Careful with this. It's not something that's going to be seen, so it's not a big deal if you don't paint it. But if you want to, you can. It's an option. Take this. And once I have both pieces painted, I'm just going to set them aside to dry. And I'm going to come back and check it occasionally. So I'll give it a couple hours to dry, and if I notice that the color of my lid is starting to come through, or I'm noticing some empty spots on here, I'll add some more paint to just kind of go through. But I would just keep an eye on it for about 24 hours and see if more paint needs to be added, and go ahead and add it. But if not, then we will kind of come back to this tomorrow and get it all squared away to get the bag holder finished. I'm actually just not going to paint the inside of this just because I know that I won't see it. But you are more than welcome to paint the inside of it, especially if, you're using a clear plastic container or you're only painting pieces of it. You're more than welcome to paint both sides. I'm not going to paint both sides just because I'm going to leave this upright to dry anyway. So that's what we're doing with that. The tin can, if you're using the tin coffee can, you might need to put a couple of coats of paint on, especially because you're painting the outside. As you guys can probably remember from when we were making the office caddy, we use like soup cans and stuff, and we did have to use a couple of coats of paint on there. You'll probably have to use a couple coats of paint again. Just give it 10 to 15 minutes between each coat to dry, just that you're not just like moving paint around, you're actually covering it up for the next layer. But make sure that you have enough on there. If you are using the plastic container and you're kind of letting this hang upside down, just occasionally move it around the table or the paper that you're setting this on, so that any paint that is coming out the bottom of there is not drying and then it's stuck to the paper. We ultimately don't want that. And then just keep checking it and see, like, do I need to add more paint? Is it okay? For the most part, it'll look pretty nice. Like right now I can see that I might need to add some white paint to this. Or at least move it around. And you'll see, like, as the paint's coming down the sides here, that is paint that you can also just kind of move around as you go. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to let that dry for 24 hours. We will be back tomorrow to finish this, and I'll show you how to cut it so that I don't even want to, like, I'm just going to move this hair out of my face, but I don't want to. We will be back tomorrow to finish the bag holder, but also to get started on our tie phone case holder that we will be doing tomorrow. So if you have an old men's tie, we will be using that to make a phone case out of it, and we will finish the bag holder. If you wish to send pictures of the wreath that we made, the toilet paper and paper towel wreath, please send pictures to rusticraftsandcalligraphy@gmail.com. I would love to see them. Otherwise, we will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. We do have a bonus craft tonight at 6 where we're making a piggy bank with plastic container. So be sure to tune back in if you wish to make a small piggy bank. But if not, I will see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Keep checking your things to see if they need multiple coats, but you want to make sure that everything's dry and ready to go for tomorrow. So definitely give it enough time to make sure it's dry to work with tomorrow, okay? All right, guys, have a good night. Happy Monday. See you tomorrow. Bye.